Okay, we're going to try something a little unconventional. So we're going to deal with a little bit of postures tonight. So first, just going to talk a little bit about sitting posture with Ajahn Sucitto's instruction here. And I had that page wrong. And then while you've hopefully gotten yourself in a good posture, then you're going to imagine yourself in a reclining posture. So we're not going to recline here. And then we'll work on standing. So these are just some things I find are helpful thinking about your body. Sit on the floor with the legs crossed or in a straight backed or backless chair so that the posture is steady and the spine is upright. Whether you sit in a chair or sit on the floor with legs crossed is less significant than attending to the upright spinal axis. If the spine is stressed by having the shoulders leaning in on it, or the head hunched forward, or the lower back bent out, it is impossible for it to fully support the body. To sit in an upright posture and fully sense the body brings energy into the mind. Good posture is therefore an important basis for meditation. Aligning bodily posture. If you're using a chair, take care to keep the soles of both feet placed flat on the floor. Rest the thighs on the seat of the chair and refrain from leaning back. Keep your legs apart to allow the base of the body to rest firmly on the surface of the chair. If you're sitting on the floor, sit cross-legged with one foot resting on top of the opposite thigh, with the other foot tucked under its opposite thigh, half lotus, or rest both feet on the opposite thighs, full lotus. If your flexibility isn't up to that, never mind. Use any cross-legged position or even sit on your haunches with your legs going forwards and your calves folded under your thighs. The important thing is to feel steady and be upright in a manageable way. In any case, sit so that the small of the back is slightly concave with the lower abdomen perpendicular. Since I'm going through this, I'd request that all of you are not in the polite posture. If you don't want to be, you can sit cross-legged. So this is an exercise. So please sit cross-legged if you're not, for the purposes of this. We're going through an exercise here. If you want to sit polite posture, you can. If you want to sit, just sit how you normally do in meditation. Okay. The important thing is to feel steady and be upright in a manageable way. In any case, sit so that the small of the back is slightly concave with the lower abdomen perpendicular. This should balance your pelvis on two bony structures at its base, called sitting bones. You can locate them where the under thigh of each leg swells into each buttock. So if you're sitting in one of the lotus postures, you may need to use a small firm cushion or pad wedged under your tailbone to support the balance on these sitting bones. With these, you just use the edge of the cushion to check the backwards tilt of the pelvis. Then the weight of the body is transferred down through the broad base of the lower pelvis and the upper thighs. Draw the lower edges of the shoulder blades in to counteract the tendency to hunch. Then the chest will open and the shoulders relax. At first, this will seem like you are pulling a point between the lower tips of the shoulder blades in towards your chest. Then it becomes more like an inclination for that part of the spine to meet the heart. Eventually, it just feels natural. In this posture, the breathing is deep, steady, and clearly discernible. This carriage of the chest and shoulders will tend to align the neck with the rest of the spine. The neck is a continuation of the spine. It belongs to the back rather than the head. Counteract the tendency for the head to capture the neck and pull it forward by first relaxing the jaw and then drawing the head back so that the skull and the neck are in alignment with the back. The chin will tuck in towards the throat. All of this feels All of this frees the body from the habitual locks that bad posture introduces. Breathe slowly and fully and attune to the effects in terms of the chest and abdomen. These should move when you breathe. The abdomen goes in and out. The chest rises and expands sideways, slightly. If this doesn't happen, the posture is still locked somewhere. Let the palms of your hands rest on your legs just above the knees or at the mid-thigh. Feel out any tension in the arms and hands, and steadily drain that down from the shoulders through the arms and legs into the ground. Let the weight of the body descend evenly down through the pelvic region, taking care not to draw the arms in too close to the chest. The hands may turn so that the backs of one set of fingers rests in the palm and the fingers of the other. You can also remain in the previous posture if you wish. Okay. Assuming you all know how to meditate, I won't continue with the rest. So now I'd like you to, this is just sort of a review in case any of you are inclined towards reclining. I'm not sure if everyone here has spent fairly significant time doing lying meditation, but it can be quite helpful. So this is more just to take away, and we won't be lying down here in the hall, but you can possibly try this in your dwellings. Reclining meditation. It's helpful to know how to cultivate mindfulness while lying down so that one goes to sleep in a calm and centered way, or can sustain the practice when, owing to physical limitations, it's not conducive to sit up in one position for long periods of time. In the following postures, the deliberate composure of the body counteracts sleepiness or loss of focus, whilst also helping to bring around some relaxation. There are a couple of reclining postures. The lion posture is one of lying on the right side on a firm surface with the body stretched out straight and one arm resting along its flank, hand open just below the hip joint. The other arm is folded so that the palm of the hand supports the side of the cheek and the jaw. The fingertips touch the temples and the thumb connects to the base of the skull behind the ear. The ear is between the fingers and the thumb. The head is supported by means of a cushion, which should be no thicker than that which will fit in the gap between the head, neck, and the floor, without twisting the neck. Our tendency when lying down is to curl towards a fetal position, which turns down the energy in order to prepare for sleep. So to counteract dreaminess and loss of focus, the alignment of the body should be straight, and the arm, hand, and neck positions carefully maintained. Place the inner edge of one foot directly on top of the corresponding edge of the other foot, so that the joints of the big toes meet. Let one knee rest on top of the other. Positioning the body in this way establishes a line for awareness of the energy, and the energy can be maintained at a wakeful level. The energy points in the under arch of each foot and the palms of each hand act as a particular reference point, with one hand being ideally placed to transmit support and warm contact into the head. Otherwise, and especially if there is tension and pain in the back, it is possible to mix relaxation with wakefulness by lying on the back with the soles of the feet flat on the floor and the legs forming an arch. Try to consciously give the body into the floor, attune to the varying pressures of different zones of the body, distinguishing the bone from the flesh in any places where the muscles feel tight from the softer tissues. Does each shoulder blade rest on the floor? Does it fully rest on the floor? Gently wrap your arms around your chest and loop the fingertips behind the shoulder blades, then roll slowly from side to side, letting the movement open and relax. Open and relax the shoulders by means of a slight pull through the fingers as the shoulder leaves the floor. Get the buttocks to relax and spread by letting the arch of the legs swing from one side to the other. Ideally, the sacrum and the lumbar vertebrae will rest on the floor. These movements will help the back to relax. In this position, pull your chin towards the throat so that the neck lengthens and rests on the ground. Then relax the chin without loosening the neck alignment. This will help to rest the neck muscles. And let mindful awareness establish a line down the center from the crown of the head to the sacrum. Sense the tail and connect that sense to the sensations and energies in the soles of the feet, centering on the underarch. As you establish that line of reference, add a line across the shoulders. This enables you to monitor the plane of the upper back. So you suggest place the hands together, palms down, so that the fingertips connect to the point just below the navel and the thumbs touch a point just above it. This finger-thumb circle could otherwise rest around the sternum, breastbone. In this position, the energy of the palms and sensitivity of the fingers connect directly to the open front of the body, a calming, intimate touch. This calming will make it easy to feel the breathing as it rhythmically swells and relaxes the abdomen or chest. Let the palms fall towards the spine and with each exhalation, and then come steadily swelling up with each slow inhalation. You can also counteract the sleep habit by sweeping attention in systematic loops from the upper body down one leg and back up the other leg into the upper body again. Difficulties. Falling asleep is the obvious one. Getting lost in thought is the other. These can be counteracted by deliberately thinking of one part of your body at a time, beginning with a foot, for example, and sending all your attention there. After a minute or two, let go of that part, relax it completely, and move up to the next part. Because it allows energy to settle, this practice can also help to resolve insomnia. If one remains awake, one does so in a calm and restful way. And when the system finds that balance, if it needs sleep, one will go to sleep. So one of the teachers who excels in this practice is actually Lumpur Wiradhammo. He has a lot of pain in his knees, so he's practiced hours and hours of lying meditation, and he'll do that sometimes. If he wouldn't, when he doesn't go to evening puja, he'll do maybe like 4 hours of lying meditation. And he said that the key to lying meditation for him was so he wouldn't fall asleep and it would be an actual meditation when he was very wakeful, was that he would kind of, I imagine you could just practice the instructions of Lumpur Sucitto, but then when he'd lie down on his back, he put his head down, and the tendency for a moment is to kind of move in slight ways that will promote more and more comfort until one falls asleep. And this is, if you have this in common with when you sleep, you kind of lay down and then you start to make subtle movements that are like, okay, it's right. Oh no, that's not okay. Oh yeah, that feels good. And then you relax and you fall asleep. So instead of doing that, what he suggests is lay down, and set yourself up more in like a sense of like where your hands are and where they're going to be. And then just give yourself about 1 or 2 seconds to make sure you're not in like a, your back's not crooked, or you're not causing yourself any pain, and then you don't move. So for him, that was the key, is not moving. After that first initial 2 seconds, he doesn't move. He just stays very straight and doesn't allow any movement of the body. And that keeps him very wide awake. The phenomena he found later was that after about, well, it depended on the night, but 3-4 hours, his legs would start twitching, and in kind of, not violent ways, but sort of like, I don't know, these energetic pathways or something were occurring. And that was his body telling him it was time to go to sleep. So he would do this, and he'd talk about this. He called it Yoga Nidra, and he'd talk about this practice a lot. So if you ever want to try that, you can try that tonight or some other time, and see if that works for you. So now that you've all gotten very relaxed, thought about sleeping, we're going to move on to standing meditation. So this is from his book, On Your Own 2 Feet. Standing on your own 2 feet. Think about it. Stability, confidence, simple dignity. The phrase is used as a metaphor, but actually it's more than that. If you want to get a break from a scattered mind and stressful moods, it could be as easy as literally standing on your own 2 feet. Furthermore, if you'd like to meditate but feel challenged by the idea of sitting still with nothing to do for more than 5 minutes, some standing could be a manageable way to get started on the road to inner balance. It gets you grounded, and if you already do like to meditate, standing could be a way to relieve some bodily discomfort and widen your practice in unexpected but effective ways. I'm certainly not against seated meditation. It's just that the seated form presents issues in terms of discomfort and through its passivity. The discomfort in the knees and back for bodies that have become used to and even shaped by sitting in chairs commonly distracts attention from settling and clearing the mind. On the other hand, if you do get comfortable, it's easy then to drift into thoughts and daydreams. Then meditation becomes a tedious process of repeatedly trying to establish a focus. Also, with sitting, your weight rests on your bottom and your thighs, which are not designed to be sensitive to the ground, nor are they required to maintain balance. When seated, the feet and the knees, those parts of your body that help you to feel grounded and balanced, are switched off. With standing, however, the body automatically focuses on establishing groundedness and balance. Your feet and legs come into alignment with the spine in a relaxed but alert way, and that, of course, affects your mind. It relaxes the mind while encouraging attentiveness to how the body stands as an interconnected system. Therefore, your mind comes out of its preoccupations and also isn't easily invaded by what's going on around you. Because of all this, 15 minutes or more of standing can be a useful prelude to a period of sitting meditation or a clarifying practice in its own right. Because standing fast-tracks balance, connectivity, and wholeness, it's useful to practice this in any pause moments in the day. Waiting for someone, cool the impatience by standing in a conscious and balanced way. Getting stressed in the office, take a 3-minute break from the desk, stand, let stress drain into the ground. Feeling nervous before addressing a group, stand balanced, sensing the soles of your feet for 10 seconds. After all, you're going to stand up at some time. Why not make it a useful skill? The instructions below guide you through the process of establishing a good standing position and cultivating awareness of it. In so doing, a range of default restrictions are released and the body settles into something quiet and wonderful. This gives you the benefit of an unconstricted mode of attention and a handle on your nervous and emotional reflexes. Sankhara in Buddhist texts. By calming and insightfully penetrating, the standing meditation supports stability, ease, and liberation. It supports all those. So, anybody tired? Let's stand up. So everybody can stand up. That's right. And to reduce self-consciousness, I'd like everybody to face out. So turn around, face that way. You guys face the windows over there. You guys face the wall. You guys face the windows over there. You also kind of move out a little bit more, okay? That way. So nobody's behind you. So Ajahn Cunda, you guys face this wall. So you face that wall. There you go. So you're not facing anybody, you're facing the wall. Very good. Yasa, over by that chair. Sivako, over by the door. Kevin, over by that window. Thank you. Tejasaro, the tree. And Obasi, over here by the outlet. Very good. Establishing ground. The world is a windy place. We need strong roots. With practice, standing can feel balanced, steady, and comfortable. Then you feel grounded, but relaxed. That's essential when the winds of turmoil and trouble start blowing. But it's also a quietly pleasant way to get to know yourself in terms of body, heart, and mind. This is the aim of meditation, and of all meditation postures, standing gives you the easiest way into a steady state because it establishes a firm but easeful connection to the ground beneath you. Here's how. Stand with the legs apart and coming straight down from the hips so that the stance approximates to the width of your upper body, your chest, or if you prefer a wider stance, your shoulders. The exact width isn't crucial, but the felt sense is that the stance is fully planted. Stand like a tree. In the future, it might be helpful to take off your socks, but You can keep your socks on for now. The feet are your roots. However, feet are generally encased in footwear and accustomed to meeting a constantly flat surface. Because of this, they lose their flexibility. So your feet might benefit from a couple of minutes of flexing, standing on one leg. Flex the toes of the other. Go ahead, try it. You're all facing the wall, nobody can see you. Standing on one leg, flex the toes of the other, standing on both feet. Lift your heels off the floor. And raise your body with your toes. Standing on both feet, lift your toes up and back. You might flex like this for a few times. Imagine the toes spreading so that they are like monkey's feet or like fingers. The toes should not be carrying weight. Your feet are alive and aware. And as you feel your way into a stance, tip a little from side to side and back and forth until you find a settled and easeful balance. Then, soften your knees and adjust your focus to include the entire vertical axis of your body, centered on an imagined line extending down your spine and into your feet. Ease your arms away from the sides of the body, just enough to slide your hand between your arm and your ribs, so about a ½ inch. Keeping your eyes open or half open, release awareness of what you don't need right now. For example, you don't need to hold on in your shoulders. Relax. You don't need a face, so let that go. Let your fingers be free. Focus on that upright axis, and as that becomes clearly felt, steadily extend your awareness out into the body around it. That's soft and warm stuff. Keep going slowly with the intention to encompass any tense or uncomfortable places and let warm awareness embrace them. When you get to the edge of your body, extend awareness into the space, the open, no pressure envelope immediately around you. Covering the entirety of the body in its space, linger and enjoy. A balanced and aware stance helps to release tension or gripping in the upper body, particularly in the abdomen. This area of the body can be so chronically held that the clench is barely recognized, especially if we don't stand in a way that's planted on the ground. One thing that Ajahn Sucitto suggests often is your knees are not locked. So he'll talk about that. So if you slightly unlock your knees, just a little bit, so that your muscles are supporting you, this keeps your muscles awake and allows a more agile stance. Normally, people tend to fidget, or by leaning on something, prop the tight belly and weak back on an unstable base for a few minutes before shifting again. And of course, if you're conversing while standing or using your phone or watching a screen, your attention isn't even in your body. With these habits, the weight of the upper body is shunted around, and that stops the tightness becoming tense. But then standing meditation bests that. You get support from a growing flexible firmness in your back and legs that allows the body to release tightness and be experienced as an open and stable presence. Please note that firm doesn't mean stiff or rigid. When you stand with your aware feet planted on the ground, soften your knees a little so the legs are slightly bent, just enough that the muscles in the thighs and the calves aren't locked into position. The standing then feels flexible and alert. It's as if you could jump at any moment, but you're relaxed. You might practice bending your knees a little to sense how the ankles take up a supportive role, then bob up and down a little to get familiar with the flexibility of the stance. So you can try that now. Just kind of coming up and down off your knees. To extend the exercise in more detail, tune into the feel of that stance. And as you get settled into your stance, encourage your upper body to sink just a little so it feels like it's nestling into the cradle of the legs and the feet. It's as if your upper body is like a vase or a bag settled into the supportive stand of the legs, which are connected to the firm base of the 2 feet planted on the ground. Fully rest in that support and feel a few easy cycles of breathing in and out. Ensure that you're not sagging or leaning the abdomen forward. So very slightly turn your tailbone under, as if between your legs. Your buttocks will relax and your belly tuck in. The weight of the upper body will be carried by the legs rather than the lower abdomen. The arch between the legs, the perineum, should feel open. Your thinking mind will probably chatter and want to get busy, but don't give it much attention. Instead, relax into your belly, and as you breathe out, extend your awareness to the soles of the feet. When the out-breath has completed itself, feel the inhalation come in by itself. As you sense the rising energy of your inhalation, follow the rise by extending awareness up your spine. Just as a note here, if any of you are feeling weak or this is difficult, there's no problem. This takes time to build up, so it's okay to sit down. Release tension. Over time, as you get to feel comfortable and natural in this position, you might like to take some further steps. As you stand, sense the energy of the breathing process, how it arouses and brightens on the inhalation, relaxes and softens on the exhalation, opens and hovers in the pauses between the two. However, don't force attention onto the breathing. It's more a matter of receiving that rhythmic flow and noticing its effects on your body. Notice how the torso swells and subsides, especially the front, but to a lesser degree the back. With your arms hanging freely by your sides and slightly away from the sides of your body, extend awareness around the sides of your torso so that you cover the entirety of that swelling and subsiding section of your body. Tilt the lower point of each shoulder blade into your back just a little, so that you remove the shoulder hunch as you feel your chest open. Relax your shoulder blades down your back as if you are slipping out of a coat. You'll become more aware of your spine. It will strengthen and act as the central axis for your upright stance. Allow a few turns of the breathing cycle to fill out and integrate this upright position. Then extend your awareness down your arms and into your hands. Relax the fingers and focus on the palms, imagining them opening and listening to the space. You may keep your hands open by your sides or bring them slightly together with the fingertips touching for greater sensitivity and a sense of containment. You might find that turning your hands a few degrees so that the palms are angled forwards helps to open and relax the hand that runs across the top of your chest and beneath your throat. You might find that turning your hands a few degrees so that the palms are angled forwards helps to open and relax the band that runs across the top of your chest and beneath your throat. So that's if your hands are down by your sides and you turn them slightly out instead of in. When your hands feel open and alive, slowly draw your awareness up the spine from the tail on up into the neck and the base of the skull, as if you are tracing the curvy line of the vertebrae with a finger. It's like the trunk of a tree with a growing tip supporting the skull. Get a feel for that support. Imagine that the head is settling on top of that spinal axis like a ball resting on a fountain of water. While attuned to the rhythmic flow of breathing, relax the neck muscles, the jaw, the forehead, temples, and eye sockets. Keeping your eyes open or half open, releasing tension might make you feel a bit dizzy at first. Let the entire ball of the head rest on that aware spine so that the muscles in your neck and face can ease up. Let some breathing pass through as your body adjusts to this change and begins to enjoy it. Feel the firmness of your spinal axis and extend awareness down from the base of the skull down to the tailbone. It may not be complete. There may be dull patches or blocks in that line. However, rather like a river clearing its blockages, this upright axis will clear itself over time as awareness spreads and is sustained. So steadily extend your awareness until it's like an envelope covering your entire body in all directions. Linger in that, letting the breathing flow through the body in its envelope of space. If your body starts to tense up, bob up and down slightly or lightly swing from side to side. Otherwise, as you feel more and more stable, acknowledge and let go of discursive thought and any emotional turbulence. Bathing in energy. To encourage deeper refreshment, sweep your awareness from the crown of your head downwards, as if you're pouring oil or something warm and fluid over your head and letting it run down and over your entire body. Feel the softness of the tissues at the front relaxing. Relax down your arms and into the palms of your hands. If you're feeling unsteady, it's good to put more emphasis on the back and sweep down from your shoulders into the soles of the feet. If you're feeling too tight, bend the knees a little and encourage the abdomen to loosen and be held by the supple legs. As the entire body consequently wakes up to itself, there is a sense of enjoyment. Simple, calm pleasure. Get used to that. What is your body now? In meditation, we can discover a medium in our body that is often neglected in daily life. This is the medium of energy, by which I mean vitality rather than speed or muscular strength. This vitality is natural to a clean nervous system. It is essential for metabolism and health, and it also affects our emotions, and through that, the impulses and the moods that come into play. It's essential to understand that the body and heart are connected through energy. If the body is jittery, tense, or stagnant, that affects how we feel, think, and act. By heart, I mean that quality of awareness that feels hurt and joy, bitterness, guilt, and love. In meditation, we tune into it through directing our minds towards receptivity. This meditative attention or awareness is like listening, with the occasional mental reminder to keep it on track. When you take up a comfortable standing position, the posture provides a form within which bodily energies can unwind, relax, and brighten. This doesn't depend on a lot of mental activity. When there's awareness, the body itself negotiates many of the finer points of balance, brightening, and release. Awareness lets the body own intelligence, read the signs of pressure or tightness, numbness or strain in the nervous system, and adjust accordingly. If the thinking mind doesn't impatiently overrule it or drift off to find something more stimulating. Body intelligence. The most obvious example of this is the ability to find and sustain balance when standing or walking. If you're aware in terms of body, when you stand, you don't clench or waver. You don't stomp or scurry when you walk. The body moderates its energy to suit. Your thinking mind couldn't figure that out. In fact, it would probably have difficulty getting food into your mouth. Thank goodness for a body. So just consider, if you can let your body do the breathing meditation will be a lot less stressful. The mind should be engaged, interested, and receptive, while refraining from imperatives or judgments. This can be achieved through softening the focus, that is, to get less intense about physical points and be more attuned to a steady and heartful awareness. Relying on mental effort alone produces a negative result, because that overrides the intelligence of body and heart. In fact, imbalance, tension, and constriction in the body are largely due to unskillful mental energy. Non-stop urgency and stress leave their effects in the body's nervous system, as do their numbing antidotes, escapist entertainment or passive immersion in whatever a screen is presenting. There's also the imbalance that comes around because of operating only one part of the body while the rest is left inert. For example, sitting for hours in a chair switches off the flow of energy in the legs and back. Instead, energy gathers and intensifies in the head, neck, and shoulders. The result is that breathing is limited and the coordinated flow of energy through the body is blocked. Another negative bodily condition occurs through operating in artificial systems time rather than in natural embodied time. In the automated world in which we live, energy has to follow clock time, so it jumps and surges towards notional ends, then is suddenly arrested by the sound of a buzzer or the flash of a light. If we don't find the time to return to a grounded and embodied state, the nervous system gets set to a hasty on-off way of life, so we lose touch with the regulating effect of breathing and how that helps the body to naturally relax and refresh. In fact, when the mind gets tangled up by stress, the stressed aspects of the nervous system take over, with panicky reflexes or numbness affecting the way we breathe. This makes it difficult to feel the breathing in a comfortable way. Consequently, the mind loses the upright and open basis that keeps it well-oriented and clear, so it loses heart and yet keeps on running in a stressed or drained condition. And if you even try to meditate from that basis, you have to meet a tangled energy with an imbalanced mind that's not in touch with the body. Not good. So make a note. The energy of emotional mental activity is based in the body. Get the body into balance first. Standing, because it gets you grounded without requiring a high degree of focus, offers easy access to the embodied state in which bodily intelligence comes to the fore. With this, your body's energy returns to the more natural flow, and that flow suffuses the fascia tissues that wrap around and connect all parts of the body. The body wakes up to being interconnected and balanced. This interconnected balance is more than anatomical, it is neurological, and becomes psychological. Because we have a place to stand, we don't have to keep creating one via opinions and territory and beliefs. Instead, we gain heart, and that heart-based sensitivity aligns the mind to ethical integrity, goodwill, and ease. In this way, the upright, open, and stable body supports an upright, open, and stable mind. Both are necessary, and one supports the other. An upright mind is balanced, receptive to self and others, and non-obsessive. It is a beautiful flowering of human potential. That's what living in a balance means. But this is not about holding balance as an idea in your head. Neither can you be only half balanced or left side balanced. It has to be the whole thing. So balance brings wholeness, and wholeness helps the entire body-mind system to integrate. However, put aside imperatives and deadlines. In cultivating balance, awareness has to spread through the whole form naturally as its own pace. Practicing like this encourages patience and harmony. You may experience imbalance in terms of the left and right sides of your body. One side may have a lot of energy running through it, and the other side considerably less. The contemplative response to this is to first span the entire width of your body with awareness and holding that wide frame attuned to the breathing. This step alone may allow the breath energy to suffuse the entirety and restore balance. A further step would be to first discern the furthest edge of the strong energy. That is, if you're strong in the right, how far does that energized area extend? What is its edge? And beyond that edge, how is the body? Then can you detect the left side? Try sweeping your attention from the right side slowly towards the left, expanding your awareness as you cover the edge. Repeat this exercise carefully several times. Then connect the exhalation with this movement of attention. It's as if you are breathing across your body. Practice also focusing on the left side, and as you breathe in, extending your awareness to the right. As you deepen the balance and connectivity of your body, the energy that flows along with breathing can spread through the entire bodily form. You can practice this sweeping through any isolated or restricted areas of your body, such as the throat or belly. Remember, don't demand anything to open or be other than it is. Just maintain connective and empathic awareness. If there is empathy rather than a directive, awareness will meet the energy in an area of the body. Widening and softening will allow discordant energies to release into the wide field of the whole body in their own time. As this occurs, the body gets to feel like a single homogeneous form that is both soft and strong. No single part is carrying another part, nor are we unconsciously carrying our body around in a state of distracted stress. So as the body comes into unity, be receptive to that and let it moderate your attitudes and intentions. Through attunement to the aware and connected state, ease and goodwill come to the fore. Through accessing energies, awareness can meet, steady, and release bodily or emotional conflict and support positive qualities of body, heart, and mind. The next part of that chapter, Lumpur actually encourages people to work on their head, balancing their head. And so much of our movement, of our energy is in our head and going to our head. And so when we're standing, it gives us an opportunity to kind of bring that energy down, release that energy, becoming aware of it. Does anyone have any questions? Comments?
Ajahn, he mentions at the end sort of like releasing or balancing emotional energy in the body. Does he say anything more about that, or do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's something that he talks a lot about in his Dhamma talks, and he'll keep talking about that balance, and that's quite common. So like, it's sort of like, I think the best way I would think about it is like noticing something that's not normally noticed. So it's like, I think we keep these imbalances in our bodies. We're not usually aware of them. Sometimes we're not aware of tension we create in certain parts of our body. You know, we can hold different parts of our body. So the connectedness that he's talking about is like, it's an embodied awareness, so you're becoming aware of that imbalance. And that can be a stifled imbalance with emotional imbalance. You can feel it in all kinds of different ways. It can be tense muscles, it can be holding in certain ways. It can be an energetic feel. So more, I think he's coming into a sense of like really becoming aware of this in our own bodies. And it's not easy if it's been ignored, for example. So like Anagarika Kevin's been giving people massages, some of the monastics massages for the last year, decade, and he notices that some of our backs are like there's like animals on the left side or right side, or like something like really thick, or different parts of the body are overdeveloped, and you might ask the monk, whoa, did you notice this? They might not know, and what's that all about? Like they're carrying this massive amount of muscle tissue on one side, and the other side's more relaxed and calm, or just like maybe it's just looser, or it's tight, but it's not as active. So that's a more sense of having a sense of the body, the tissues of the body, and the experience of the body. But in some way, we're imbalanced, and we do that as human beings a lot. We carry our bodies in ways that we're not really aware. Even sometimes Lumpur will talk about like how we put on body armor. We protect ourselves. So somebody comes up to us and says something, and we already have put on this armor. And he's also talking about just this mental armor that we experience. And so we can't even really hear people. But we do that with our bodies as well, and we build them up in these same ways. So part of this, the embodiment that he's actually talking about, is really getting to know one's body and to be aware of it, to be aware of tension that we create. And so I think that's the imbalances he's sometimes talking about, but it can manifest in an emotional imbalance as well. And then it lodges itself in some part of the body. And we're not always aware of that. It's not released, it's just kind of stuck there. This can be in the way we actually meditate as well. How we're bringing our breath in, or how we're holding our hands. I was mentioning in one of these Dhamma talks, how somebody was like tensing their fists together, and sometimes we're not aware of that. If you talk to people, sometimes like everyone right now, if I just ask you what is the experience of the muscles around your eyes? Are any of you aware that you're holding tension there? Your eyes are furrowed, or can you release all the tension of the muscles around your eyes? So I doubt the whole room was filled with everybody who had just like totally relaxed muscles around the eyes. It's probably people who just had no idea that they were squinting or keeping this pressure there. We do that with the shoulders as well. We'll keep the shoulders like this, and I do that all the time. I just have no idea my shoulders are by my ears. I'm just walking around like this. I don't know it. It's just happening, and And then as soon as I note, I kind of, oh, whoa. And then it's like 3, 4, 5 inches comes down. So this is the imbalance we keep in our bodies often, and we're just not really aware of it. And it's very stressful. It's kind of like we're carrying the stress around. So when Lumpur is talking about embodiment, he's kind of really talking about the fact that we're so up in our heads we don't notice these things about ourselves. We don't notice our own bodies. We're not aware that we're actually holding all of this in. You can do it with your legs. When you're sitting in meditation, you can kind of really be holding your posture, and there's not always a sense of relaxation. Or the back is especially one, as he was talking about. It's very easy to be off balance in the back. Or to just use the back, slump over, so that that posture is just kind of, it feels relaxed, but there's certain muscles that are getting extended and others that are compressed. And so it actually throws everything off. So the more we're aware of our bodies and we experience being in them, rather than up in our heads with thoughts and all kinds of things that are going on, emotional strains and obsessions, then we come in the body, we start to become aware of the feeling. And as he talks about, it's like enjoyable, it's pleasant. So this is a lot what the Buddha is encouraging us in a lot of ways, that pleasant experience of being with the body. And meditation is supposed to be pleasant. That's the idea of it. Are there any other questions or anything about that? Or did anybody, was that new to anybody, standing meditation? Does anybody here use standing meditation often? No? That's interesting. A couple. Yeah, it's a pretty normal posture to use, so I find it very wakeful. It's harder to do in the hall, but when you're alone, I'd encourage standing meditation. Because, we have to kind of walk over there, or walk kind of, that's the tendency if we do standing meditation, we don't want to stand over people, so it takes a little more effort. But I haven't been too dutiful about this, but if you can monitor your sleepiness when you're alone, your practice, we're going to be having a lot more alone time. And if you're nodding in your meditation, again, I wasn't very diligent with this week, but you can give yourself three nods and then you're up. So if you nod 3 times, then stand up. So it just gets you to be awake. So it's sort of a deal you make yourself, okay, fine. And you have to catch that nodding, because some people can nod for hours. They don't know it. So you kind of do that, and then all of a sudden you're awake. You're much more awake when you're standing. So it's quite helpful. And of course then there's walking as well. But walking can sometimes stir things up a bit. Okay, is that it from everyone? If you want to read some more of this book, it's an excellent book, new book by Sucitto, On Your Own 2 Feet. And he goes through all kinds of standing exercises. We got through about a third of the book. So it's 6:58. We can start at 7:10, and we'll have a curtailed sitting. We'll sit for an hour. All right. See you soon.